How's it going, everybody? Thank you guys for checking back into my channel. I just want to first introduce myself because last video I didn't really introduce myself well. I kind of just ran right into the video. So I just want to take a moment to talk about myself and why I'm even making these videos and why you guys should even be listening to me. So I started off in retail. At 16, I was working at Banana Republic. From there, I was a sales associate and I worked in retail for 8 years until I was a store manager. I was a department manager at Bloomingdale's. So I've sold brands from Chanel to Off-White to Ann Demeulemeester to Christian Louboutin. So I was in retail for about 8 years doing that. I was sales associate, and like I said, I worked my way up to a store manager. And then I finally graduated. I have a degree in fashion buying and merchandising, and now I'm in corporate. So now I'm on the corporate side of the industry. So that's a little bit more about me, and also what I've been working on with a friend of mine, Ramon, that we are working on a small styling business to pretty much answer questions, give tips, show people where they can shop online, go to the store with them. We're starting to build this a little bit. So that's a little bit about me. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about that. So before I go into this video, you have a better idea of where my information is coming from. So last week I talked about 5 trends that I think are going to continue into this new year, into 2020, and that are going to continue to go strong. So this video is going to be about 5 trends that we should leave in 2019. It's done. Finito, finished. Let's move on from them. There's too many good brands and too many good places to shop now, especially with online shops and whatnot, that we could update our wardrobe now. There are some great options, some great updated options for us now in this new year. So this video is going to be talking about those things that we should leave in the past and move on and try some alternatives. All right, so boom. So number 1 is going to be Chelsea boots. Let's just get it out of the way. Number 1, this is something that I'm a little bit split on because I believe that Chelsea boots are a staple in some respects, and in other respects we should be moving on from it. If you're wearing a Chelsea boot with a nice crop pant that fits great, that you're wearing it a little bit more dressy, then I see, okay, that works. Or if you're wearing it with like a leather jacket, maybe like a t-shirt or a hoodie, some skinny jeans, kind of like the Saint Laurent way, then okay, then I get it, I like it. But in terms of Chelsea boots being a trend, I think that trend is done. So the reason I'm saying that also is that there are so many other options that you can replace the Chelsea boots with and still continue to wear some of the outfits that you were wearing those boots with. But there was too many people wearing them. It's a little oversaturated. We've seen it too much. We kind of got a little bit tired of it. So I think that if people want to continue to kind of have that look, let's update that wardrobe a bit. Let's try maybe like a combat boot. Let's try maybe like a Japor boot, like the zip up, just a regular, more Western style boots. Those type of things are gonna continue into 2020, but it's not gonna have that same redundancy of like a Chelsea boot that we've seen so many times. And I think people have grown a bit tired of seeing it. It's just a little bit too much now. It's too common. And I think that if you're trying to push the boundaries a little bit of fashion, then let's move on from that boot. Let's try something a little bit different. So number 2 is going to be the distressed, like the extremely distressed and like destroyed pieces. Like the pieces that look like you just went through like an apocalypse or something like that. Those sorts of things, I think it's done for them. For instance, like nobody wants to see like your nipple popping through a ripped shirt anymore. Like it's done for that. But if you do want to continue that distressed look, and which I'm not saying is done, I like distressed things. Like ripped jeans, I think are kind of going to be a classic. I don't think that those are ever going to really go out of style. I think the overly destroyed pieces, like some of those old Yeezy items and whatnot, I think those are, the time for those is done. Also, I think like the jeans that are ripped from top all the way down to bottom, like I would let that go. But I still do like some of the distressed items, don't get me wrong. So if you want to continue to wear kind of like these distressed items, which I totally am with, Helmut Lang does some really good and tasteful elevated distressing that doesn't look too much, but they're doing it in a really nice way. Take a look at Helmut Lang. They have some good examples of what that looks like. So trend number 3 that I think we should be moving on from is this designer everything, designer on designer trend that was going on. Reason being is that just because you're wearing designer top, bottom, all the way down to the shoes and everything, doesn't mean that the outfit isn't put together well. I think people kind of got this idea that if everything was designer, then you automatically had a great fit. And that's not really the whole truth. And also, I think that go forward, I don't think people really shop like that. People don't really shop all designer everything. So I think the normal customer is going to find those high-end pieces that they really want and trying to find a way to incorporate those into your wardrobe that you already have. Like mixing them, like mixing high and lows. So you're mixing your designers with your Zaras and your ASOS's, your H&M's maybe even, and seeing how that looks together. I don't think really a lot of people go into stores, into these high-end stores, and buy top to bottom all the time. I think it's more attainable and more realistic that you're gonna find those pieces that you really like. How do you style them into what you already have? And then you start to build on your wardrobe that way, versus looking like Amigo and you're wearing top to bottom everything designer. Like, I love designer items as well. I have some designer pieces myself, but I also mix those in with my vintage items, with pieces from Zara, pieces from H&M, pieces from ASOS, and that creates more of a creative look. Some things that you've really never thought about mixing together or seen together when you're mixing these brands, versus if you're wearing top to bottom Gucci or top to bottom Louis, that you may be more expecting to see those things together. It doesn't really connect the same way. It doesn't really look different when you're seeing that from a bunch of different rappers or a bunch of different people that you know. So number 4 is going to be wearing top to bottom hypebeast items. Like, I can't stand seeing the Yeezys with the Supreme box logo, with the Gucci sweatpants on. Like, those things, man, we just got to be a little more creative. Some of these items I actually do really like, that people would consider more of a hypebeast item. But how do we break up those pieces and put them in different outfits so they don't scream, I'm a hypebeast and I, only shop off of things that I see on Instagram? Problem is that people do that because they don't really know how to piece these things together. They don't really know how to style them properly. So they feel like if they're wearing the Supreme hoodie with the Gucci sweats and the Yeezys on, that automatically means it's a good fit, because these pieces are individually are good pieces. And I think that people might just need a little bit of help in how do you break that down and how do you put it and style it the correct way, or in a way that just is a bit more creative, that shows your personality a little bit. Like, these top to bottom hypebeast outfits don't really show much of a personality, doesn't really show much individuality, because a lot of these pieces are already being worn by everybody else. But in the same respect, you're not really showing your true style, and I think people should look into that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and if I can help, I'm more than happy to do that. So lastly, I think the last trend that we should be moving on from is like these imitation fast fashion band t-shirts. What I mean by that is that Zara and H&M and some other places, they still are making some of these band t-shirts from like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC or whatever. And I think that trend has peaked in a way. So I think a lot of designers are taking a step back from that. And don't get me wrong, band t-shirts are something that are going to be around forever. But I think that band t-shirts can still be worn in a really cool way. And I think the better way to wear it is if you actually go to some of these different vintage stores and you actually buy these old band t-shirts that have that character and a little bit of fading and are a little bit more oversized. And some great websites that you can go on to find these band t-shirts are like Depop, Grailed has some, even eBay has some really great ones. So I would say take a look at those websites, go into some vintage stores, some thrift stores, and try to find those band t-shirts that do have that little bit of character to them. And it feels good when you go into these different places and you know that nobody else is going to be wearing the same shirt that you're wearing, and it has that character and it has that really unique graphic that you may not have seen, especially with these vintage items where you might only find one of one and nobody else has it. So I want to thank all of you guys for checking out this video. I really appreciate the views, the likes, the subscribers, whether you're family, friends, or you've never met me before. Hopefully this video helps you out. I'm more than open to any suggestions. What do you guys want to know about? What do you guys think about the video? Is there anything that I missed? Was there anything that you guys didn't agree with? I would love to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section. And if you haven't watched my video from last week about 5 trends that are going to continue into the new year, definitely check that out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Gavin, and again, I appreciate you guys watching and taking the time to check this out.